January 1987. Happy New Year, everybody. So I'm still in California at this time. That's January 1987, not right now. Uh, Still in the Air Force, still enjoying the nice weather, not back in Ohio with the cold and the snow. And I don't know what happened. The last few months, I was only reading 2, 3 books a month, and there's a whole bunch of books here. Nine, possibly? Looks like nine, maybe 10. It's like 10. Holy cow. How did I read 10 books in January of 1987? I don't know, but we're going to go through them one by one. So the first book I read in January 1987 was One Shot Deal by Gerald Pedovich. That's how I'm saying his name. This is the author of To Live and Die in L.A. Great movie, great book. He's a former Treasury agent slash Secret Service agent, I believe. And just reading this title reminded me basically what the book was. A counterfeiter gets a hold of actual blank treasury paper, so he has one shot to make real money. And Treasury agent Charlie Carr has to stop him. It's a thrill a minute kind of book. I actually can't say that honestly, but I'm sure I enjoyed it. I loved all the stuff I read by Gerald Pedovich. I should go back and reread some of it. But that's One Shot Deal. Next, we have The Cat Who Walks Through Walls by Robert A. Heinlein. I think this is the first Heinlein book I ever read. It's about a guy who sees a murder and he goes on this multiverse adventure type of thing. I was not thrilled with it. And I think because, as I said, I believe this is the first Heinlein I read. I think as he's traveling through these multiverses, it ties into some of other Heinlein stuff, and I would not have understood any of it. Book didn't thrill me, but I did go on and read some more Heinlein. You'll see if you keep watching this series. Next, and I actually have some books here. Next, I read The Thousand-Headed Man by Kenneth Robeson. It's Doc Savage. It's number 2 in the excuse me, Bantam series. I'm not sure that these were actually published in the order that they originally came out, but anyway, just your typical Doc Savage adventure. That great cover. Love those covers. I assume this is Bama is the artist, but I don't see the name, so anyway, typical Doc Savage adventure. Traveling around the world with his 5 companions. Keeping the world safe. We're going to toss that over there. Next up, we have the Zenda Vendetta by Simon Hawke. This is one of the Time Wars books. It's number 4. I do not have a copy. Excuse me. But this is not quite your typical Time Wars story. While you still have the someone has gone into the past, messed things up, are time cops, as I call them. That's not what they're called in the books, but that's just what I call them. They have to go back, take over the lives of certain people, and make sure that history plays out the way it is meant to. In this case, it's the story of the prisoner of Zenda that they have to make sure plays out. But this also there's a double agent. There's who's the lover of one of the time cop guys. That same guy, I believe, left a son somewhere in the past. He has to deal with the double agent ex-lover. He has to deal with the son that he's left in the past. So there's all sorts of other stuff going on besides just the prisoner of Zenda plot. So good stuff. Let's see, what's next? The Brand of the Werewolf by Kenneth Robeson. More Doc Savage. Got a nice werewolf on that cover. Gotta love it. This is number 5 in the Bantam series. Again, don't know if they're in the proper order. And again, just more world-hopping, crazy adventure with Doc Savage and his 5 companions. This time with a werewolf theme. So you gotta love that. So gently toss it over there. That's an old book. Next, we have The Free Man by Jerry Ahern and Sharon Ahern. This again is one of those men's adventure kind of books. Probably a Gold Eagle publication. Um, and I didn't remember anything about it. Had to look it up. So the U.S. and the Soviet Union have reached some sort of accord, which causes a police state to form in the United States, and our hero Michael Hope is leading a resistance against that police state. He's the free man. Couldn't say. I've read other Jerry Ahern stuff. It's probably, since I don't still own it, don't remember much about it, I'd say it's probably, that mid-level men's adventure kind of thing. If I ever run across it again, probably won't reread it because I have so many other things to read. But, if I ever have just lots of spare time, maybe I'd give it another shot just to try to remind myself of what it was, see if it was any good. Next up, The Monsters by Kenneth Robeson. Doing a lot of Doc Savage reading. Again, do not see a signature on the cover, but it looks like, they all mostly look like Bama to me. Unfortunately, I gotten all of these used, and the number is torn off, came off with the price tag, so I'm not sure what number it is. Not that it matters, but and then more adventure. This time you got a bunch of prisoners that are being experimented on by some evil guy that turns them into giant monsters that Doc Savage and his men have to fight. Typical world-saving stuff. Loves me some Doc Savage. Excuse me. After that, we have The Nautilus Sanction by Simon Hawke. I have got this one. If you watched last week's video, you know that I went and bought 4 of these books, the only 4 they had at Half Price Bookstore. And I had 1, 2, 3, and 5. So there we go, The Nautilus Sanction. I love these covers. They're all just very bold color, historical figure with a blank face. And this one, a terrorist in the 27th century, a terrorist hijacks a submarine with a nuclear arsenal, takes it back, and it's called the Nautilus, takes it back into the past. So obviously it becomes the Nautilus. And our time cops have to team up with Ned Land and Jules Verne to try to keep the world from being destroyed by this Captain Nemo, I suppose. Terrorist Captain Nemo. Again, lots of just fun stuff based on classic fiction. I recommend these, absolutely. After The Nautilus Sanction, we have Love and Glory by Robert B. Parker. This is a one-off. It's not part of any series. No Spencer. No Jessie Stone. Or the other one, Sunny, whatever her name is. And I think it's kind of a romance. I don't know if that's what it's meant to be. But our main character is Boon Adams. And he's just a typical person. He's smart. He's in college. He's writing papers for people. He's partying. And he's in love with Jennifer Grayle. I believe that's her name. But he goes off to war. And while he's gone, she marries, if I'm remembering this correctly, she marries a guy named John Merchant. And Boon Adams comes back from the war, she's married, may or may not be happily married. So Boon Adams just is going on, he's living his life, but he wants to make himself the type of man that deserves Jennifer Grayle, if I remember correctly. And so he travels across the country, doing odd jobs. I seem to recall at one point he stops at a diner, and the owner of the diner, gives him a job, gives him a place to sleep in the back, has him working there. And then at another point he starts working construction, which I don't know if Robert B. Parker ever did, but there's a lot of construction in some of his stories, or at least his characters. I know Parker knows construction, and now Boon Adams. There's a big section where he's working construction. And spoilers, he gets the girl in the end. It's typical Robert B. Parker, well written, interesting characters. I've read it a couple of times, but I have not read it in decades. But if you're a fan of Robert B. Parker's writing, it's not a mystery or anything. It's just a story of this guy. But it's a good read. And then finally, I have one more book in my possession. The last book I read in January 1987 is Confess, Fletch by Gregory MacDonald. This is a newer edition. All of the Fletch books, which unfortunately isn't all of them, but all of the Fletch books that I have are in this edition. I think it's out of print because I'm trying to fill in the empty spaces, and they're expensive, and all from the secondary market. Kind of wish I could find the old ones. What I like is they actually have like part of a page on the cover. Even the old ones did. So you get to read some dialogue and stuff. But anyway, this one is about Fletch is engaged to this Italian woman, and her father disappears. Fletch is accused, and he has to clear his name. But one of the standout things about this is Gregory MacDonald had another character that starred in 2 or 3 or 4 books named Inspector Flynn, and there's a crossover. Inspector Flynn is in this, so we get 2 of his great characters butting heads. Inspector Flynn seems like almost a Columbo-ish type of character if you read his books. And he's got a wife, he's got kids. I believe he's like a good Catholic guy, but it seems, and he's just a detective or an inspector, excuse me. But they hint at, I don't know if they ever come out and say that he either has a secret past or a secret present. Like he might be working for some other organization other than just the cops. I don't think they go into too much of that in here, because this is a Fletch story, but he's a great character, and I mean, the Fletch books are great. It's just snappy dialogue. If you've ever seen the Chevy Chase movie, it gives you a little taste. These books aren't as goofy. Love Fletch as a character. Interesting that he started out as a reporter, but the stories, the books, don't all deal with him like digging into a news story, getting into a mystery. They sort of branch off into different, I mean, there's always a mystery, but it's not always because of his job as a reporter. He does, I mean, he branches off different things. Anyway, that's Confess, Fletch. Great read. I recommend any of the Fletch books, or anything by Gregory MacDonald. So that's it. Let's toss that over there. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 books in January of 1987. Some good stuff in there. The Robert Heinlein, wasn't a big fan of that. Don't remember how I felt about The Free Man. Everything else is good stuff. If you like pulps, you should be reading old Doc Savage stuff, or even new Doc Savage stuff, although I don't think it's quite as good as the old stuff. But I do have quite a few of the new ones. Read Gerald Pedovich. Read Robert Parker, Gregory MacDonald. If you can find them, I think they're all available. I mean, almost everything's available on Kindle nowadays, isn't it? But the Simon Hawke stuff, I believe, is all available on Kindle. If you can't find the physical copy, I'm a physical copy kind of guy. So that's it. January 1987, 10 books. I'm just living the high life as a member of the Air Force in California at that point in time. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. If you like Robert Heinlein and can tell me why I should reread The Cat Who Walks Through Walls, throw that down there. I'll listen. I may not do it, but I'll listen to what you have to say. And please like, share, and subscribe. That's all I got. So until next time, read more books.